Good morning, Tuesday morning, 5th of November. Big day when I was a kid. The whole thing about Guy Fawkes, bonfire night sort of thing. And obviously it's a big day for Americans, huge for the world. But you know, Stella, you can see her back there, Stella, she doesn't like bonfire night. So most of the people around the farm where I live here, they've all got dogs, most of them, and so hopefully there's a lot of common sense and we don't get too much of the banging tonight for the sake of Stella and all the other dogs, but we'll see what happens. So this is a big one today. I want to share some advanced technology techniques and some very important insights. So the kind of theme that's been running over recent weeks with me, with you guys, is this notion of turning up, being the best version of yourself, applying the gifts that you've come here with, and being of service to others. And so one of the big tools that's now built into all the recent MindStore courses is what happens once you open the door of the construction on the landscape. Because when you go into that space, it's all changed now. And there's very, very powerful programming tools in there, even before you get into all the depth of the wonderful stuff that goes on in all the other rooms. But and if you're a newcomer and you go, what's he talking about? Well, don't worry, we'll take you there or get you into a process ready for all that stuff when I do that free course, which I hope to record between now and Christmas and have it up after the new year, right towards the beginning. But anyway, one of the big aspects of that immediate process is getting real clarity on intention. What's your intention of your visit? What's the intention of using these God-given and amazing alpha theta rhythms in your brain so you can access the wonder of your whole brain and the neocortex, both left and right, with all the wonderful tools you have there, or faculties, let's say, that you have there, so you can use them for the benefit of other human beings and of course for yourself. It's very, very powerful. So I'm going to teach you here a kind of reverse programming method. So pay attention. So before you get into your alpha state, and let's say the reason is because you're programming a critical meeting or event. If you had the privilege of listening to Jim's interview, you'll know that he claims at middle of the night, the conversation with the coaches are the most powerful tools he's used from the MindStore toolkit for the last 30 years, climbing all the way to the top, literally, to the top of Kilimanjaro and so on. What a guy. But anyway, so here's the thing, is before you start to program that meeting or event, clarify for yourself the intention very clearly. What's your intention? But start with, if you like, screen 4 in your mind. In other words, who's going to benefit if you turn up being the best version of yourself, and how specifically are they going to benefit? Let your left brain think about that for a moment and just bring that into your consciousness. Then if you think about screen 3, those of you who know these screens, then think about how you benefit. Why are you doing it? What is your why for taking the time to pre-program this critical meeting or event? And be very clear about the outcomes you wish to manifest. And so what you're doing at that point is you've got clarity. Then you go through the process of the head to toe relaxation, favourite place, onto the landscape. You're now using your right brain. You're in to media room, and you're now doing the programming. But at this level of consciousness, you're now accessing both brains. So what you've already figured out in terms of your intention for the programming and the outcome of the event, you're now adding all the right brain stuff to give you absolute clarity about the outcome. And ultimately, the thing that's so important with this intention stuff is that you're absolutely clear about the benefits for other human beings when you succeed. When you trigger that drive, then clarity comes in the power of your programming. So, big stuff, intention, big stuff. And then, and the other thing I want to focus on in regards to this is the setting up of the actual place where you're having the meeting or event. And I've said often, I always share this in business courses. What's critically important for you in a venue where you're going to be present and you want to get the best outcomes is to make sure that people can actually see your eyes, that if you like, you're front lit, because see, the eyes, as you've probably heard, are the windows of your soul, and if people can subconsciously see your eyes, then at another level of consciousness, they're picking up your intention, they're picking up your reasoning, they're picking up your attitudes, and they're picking up, if you like, your purpose of the meeting. And of course, because you go through all this work, then you've only got pure intention. You're looking for the best outcomes for yourself, of course, but most importantly for them. And then they can feel at some deep level of consciousness safe. If someone's sort of backlit, then very often you can't see their eyes. What I mean by backlit, well, they've got a big bright window behind them, and that's outshining everything else about them, or they're sitting in a dark part of the room. You know, so I've probably told you before, if you're at business courses, that I would once I've pre-programmed, get into the meeting, if I can choose where I'm going to sit, I'm going to always sit to my advantage. I want to be able to see the door, I want to be front lit. But let's say I'm in a situation where I'm invited in, as I've often done, into a boardroom where there's leaders, directors and so on of companies, and I go in and there's a seat they just allocate you. And if I'm not in a powerful position, when they ask me to begin my presentation, I'll say, do you mind if I stand up? No one's ever said no. I'm going to stand up. They've given me permission. I'll get behind my chair, tuck my chair under the table or the desk or whatever, and then I'm going to very gradually move to where the power is, where I'm going to be front lit so they can see my eyes. And no one's ever stopped me. And you know what? Because of all the pre-programming, because of all the commitment, because of the pure intention, I tend to come out. Not always, sometimes I don't, but I'm going to say 90% plus of times I come out with what was programmed. Because you know what? Programming works, and it only works. Have a cracker. I intend to. Today we'll be editing 2 of the interviews that were done yesterday and setting up for tomorrow's other 2. How cool is that? See ya, Ramora.